Hello, everyone, and welcome. Come on in and welcome to Getting Started with Blockchain Programming. My name is Alexandra, and I'll be leading our webinar tonight. So welcome all as you join into the chat. Feel free to drop a hello as we get started. Today, let's talk about the agenda for our webinar tonight. First, we'll discuss who is on the call. We'll talk a bit about Lumiwealth, our school, and then we'll jump into a few of the topics from our blockchain programming course. So this webinar is a teaser of the topics that we'll cover in our masterclass and just a preview of what is to come in our hands-on course. We'll talk about some big topics tonight, like why learn about the blockchain, why learn blockchain programming, what are the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains, how to build Solidity smart contracts, which are the focus of our course. We're going to build tons of smart contract projects together. And finally, tonight we'll discuss cryptocurrencies and NFTs, which we will also build in the course. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat or ask them at the end. We'll stick around. So first off, if you would like to type out in the chat, we'd love to know, what is your occupation? Do you know how to code? And how much blockchain experience do you have? None, beginner, or intermediate? Because we want to make sure we tailor the course to our audience. So if you have experience with coding or blockchain, let us know. If you don't, that is completely fine. We tailor the course specifically for beginners, but we do want to know who is coming into the course and what is their background. So feel free to drop a message in the chat answering these 3 questions. And I'll just share our screen as well for the slides for tonight. I can get started with discussing who am I on the call. My name is Alexandra Kropova. I'm the instructor of our blockchain programming course here at Lumiwealth. I invested in Ethereum back in 2017, and since then, I've taught thousands of students online, just like you, how to build smart contracts for blockchains like Solidity being number 1. Awesome, we have some messages in the chat. One message from Raj Kumar: brand new to programming, but not brand new to programming. So brand new to blockchain, but not brand new to programming. All right, so sounds like you have some coding experience, which will definitely give you a leg up in the course, because we start off with complete programming basics, but then we quickly start to ramp up the topics week after week. And we also have Kimberly, totally new. No worries, we are going to cover week 1, where we have a whole introduction to blockchain for those of you that have never worked with anything blockchain related before. And then we jump into our programming of our projects. Then we have Michael in the chat, brand new to blockchain, but not new to programming. All right, similar as well. Great, so it sounds like we have some beginners here tonight. So this is the perfect course for you. We have as well Clifton, new here as well. And Michael, I'd fall asleep on the first week probably. All right, so if you do have some experience in blockchain, we spend just 1 week covering the whole blockchain landscape, and then we get into our projects. All right, so thank you, everyone. Feel free to keep chatting and keep answering those questions and asking your own questions in the chat tonight. Next up, we're going to do a quick introduction to Lumiwealth, our school. So here at Lumiwealth, we are an online education company. We have courses like crypto trading using algorithms, Web3 using React, algorithmic trading, machine learning, options trading, and of course, tonight, our webinar on blockchain programming. So you can read more about us at www.lumiwealth.com. Also, we have a YouTube channel, which I can drop in the chat. On our YouTube channel, we often do live streams and we post tutorials. So I encourage you to hop over to our YouTube channel and check out some of our free webinars and free tutorials that you can watch. And also please subscribe and hit the notification bell. We also have a Discord channel. So let me drop all of these into the chat for everyone. First, I'll start with the YouTube link. Next up, the Discord. So everyone is free to join our Discord channel. Even if you're not part of a course, here we do a lot of discussion with instructors and students. And if you have any questions, you can also ask them in the Discord channel. We often share links and tips, so feel free to join the Discord channel right now. Even if you're not part of a course, you can still join our Discord. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop them throughout the night or in that Discord. We also have a message from Frank. I can program in Python, created Telegram bots. I have gone through the blockchain tutorials on Lisk. Awesome. So it sounds like you have some coding experience and some blockchain experience, which will give you a leg up for the start of the course. So that way you can build more and more advanced projects as we go along each week. We'll also have a survey at the end of our webinar, so feel free to leave your feedback. We'd love to know what you thought and how we could improve, because we want to make sure we tailor our webinars to our audience. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them throughout the night. All right, now let's get started with our first topic of the night. Why learn the blockchain in the first place? So tonight we're going to do a talk of just some of the topics and a hint at some of the projects that we'll build in our masterclass, starting off with why learn blockchain. Blockchain is an exciting and new field where you can build a lot of cool and cutting edge projects, and we'll actually do so together in the masterclass. We're going to build projects for different industries because blockchain has been intersecting with and changing different industries across the globe. You are likely already familiar with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and NFTs. These are a couple of the most popular ways that blockchain is changing the world currently. We have cryptocurrencies as virtual currencies for making transactions. And we have NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens that can be used to represent assets. We'll discuss more about cryptos and NFTs later tonight, actually. Those are some of the most popular ways that blockchain is affecting the world. You might have seen a lot about cryptos and NFTs in the news. And cryptos and NFTs, they started off in the basement. They weren't very popular, but over the years, ever since 2008 with the first cryptos and NFTs have just been getting more and more popular. But blockchain technology goes beyond just cryptos and NFTs. The technology behind the blockchain, this decentralized technology, which we'll talk more about tonight, it crosses into many other industries as well. For example, entertainment industries like music and games. You can use blockchain technology in something like a video game. For example, you could process transactions with cryptocurrencies. You could enable different features or different assets in the game if a user has NFTs. So if you have an NFT for this clothing item, then you can wear it in the game. You can also track everything that players do on the blockchain. So you can record every action that they take on the blockchain. That's just one example of how the entertainment industry is being affected by blockchain technology. Another example is web applications. So referring to websites, websites can also implement blockchain technology, and more are adding decentralized technology to their systems. So this would be any kind of website that incorporates blockchain technology. A really simple example would be a website where instead of logging in with a username and a password, you could log in with your cryptocurrency wallet. So by creating a web app or a website that uses blockchain technology, there's no more signing up with your email, signing up with a password, forgetting your password, the two-factor authentication. There's no more of that. Instead, you just sign in with your crypto wallet. Another example of a web app that could use blockchain technology could be an online store where you record all your transactions and you automate all the transactions over the blockchain. So instead of having to process all of the transactions, all the purchases in your own database with your own system, instead you can record all of that on the blockchain, and you can let the blockchain handle the automation of sending the product once the payment has been sent. So now your users can trust the blockchain to handle their payment for your products. That's an example of an online store that can use blockchain technology to improve. So now it's with blockchain technology, there's a lot less of a chance of losing data, or there's more prevention of getting that transaction lost and the data lost. There's also fewer hacks that can happen because there is encryption and more security when you use blockchain technology. That's why blockchain technology is very commonly used in financial industries for the security aspect. And there's a lot more transparency as well for the visitors of your online store in this example, because your visitors can check on the blockchain, did their transaction go through? When will they get the product? Did the automated process complete? They don't have to trust you to give them the product. They just have to trust the blockchain. Chris also says in the chat, isn't there Face ID for that? I'm wondering Face ID for perhaps logging in to accounts. So I think we're talking about signing into a website. Yes, okay. So yes, you could use Face ID, but Face ID doesn't incorporate the blockchain technology in it. That would be, yes, a quicker way to log in. Currently, Face ID is being used for things like phones, but less so for websites, logging into an online store, logging into an online school, logging into a game. There's less of Face IDs for that. And also with Face ID, sure, you get a faster way to log in, but you don't get that all the other aspects of the blockchain, like being able to log everything that happened on the blockchain, being able to automate processes, like automate the logging in over the blockchain, and also the security aspect. Chris says Face ID isn't foolproof. I lost weight and my Face I had stopped working. There's also that as well. So no technology is perfect. Face ID is not perfect. Blockchain isn't perfect either. So they all have their pros and cons. All right, great question. So we're talking about web applications currently, how you can take a regular website and improve upon it. You can save money and save losing data and improve the security of your website by using blockchain technology inside of it. And you can also automate a lot of your processes with the blockchain. So that's another industry where blockchain is transforming how things are being built. So we've talked about cryptos, NFTs, games, websites. The way that things are being built, like a game or a website, they're now being altered with this new technology. Another example is Web 3.0. So this ties into web applications, where we had Web 1.0 back in the 80s, where we had static web pages. There were very few developers, and there was not much data being passed around. There were not that many users. Then by 2000, we got into the phase of the internet known as Web 2.0, which is currently where we are at now. With Web 2.0, we got a lot more user interaction on the web, a lot more data being passed around because of things like social media. So we have a lot more users, a lot more developers. So currently we're in the phase of Web 2.0. Then the next phase is projected to be Web 3.0, which is currently being implemented slowly as more and more tools get built. And with Web 3.0, the goal is to improve upon the shortcomings of Web 2.0. And blockchain is one of the ways that this can be done, and some of the tools that are being built. So one shortcoming with Web 2.0 is all of the large companies that have monopolies on different industries. So we have huge companies that control a lot of the data. They control a lot of what is happening in different industries and even into other aspects like politics. So we have these big companies that have a lot of control of the web in Web 2.0. But with Web 3.0, if you bring in decentralized technology such as blockchain, you can reduce some of that monopoly and have more of a decentralization where there's more opportunity for the small company to make money and to not get eaten alive by these big companies. So with Web 3.0, we are transitioning to this next phase of the internet where websites are using blockchain technology. So therefore they can become decentralized. So there's fewer of these monopolies. They can be autonomous. They can use the blockchain to automate. They can also have fewer hacks, identity thefts, which is a huge problem currently in Web 2.0. There's many hacks and security issues. So with Web 3.0, with technology like blockchain, there is more security inherent in the technology. So that's why websites are using blockchain technology. One of the reasons is for the security aspect. You can improve your security if you implement blockchain technology. And so those are just a few of the ways that Web 3.0 is building out tools that are addressing the issues of Web 2.0. And so transforming the way that web developers build their websites. As well, blockchain is changing the world across other industries, like we talked about. Financial companies as well are using blockchain technology for the security aspect and for the transaction aspect of the currencies, the trading. So blockchain is crossing into different aspects of tech and even other industries that are non-tech, like music. Because even industries that aren't tech in the traditional sense, like music, they still do use a lot of technology. So therefore, they can use blockchain technology, and they are using blockchain technology mostly to save money in essence, because with blockchain, you can automate your processes, you can reduce your hacks. So you're going to save a lot of money using blockchain technology, which is why companies are adopting it. Of course, they need blockchain programmers in order to do so, hence why there's a huge demand for blockchain programmers, but because it's a new technology, there is relatively low supply at this current state. And as well, blockchain is changing the world in transactions. So this is like with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoins, instead of purchasing things with your credit card or regular currency like the US dollar, instead, more and more transactions are being done with cryptocurrencies. So we see a lot of adoption of blockchain technology in transactions. Back when the crypto started out, like 2008, very few companies were accepting cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. But now more and more companies like Starbucks are starting to allow payments with cryptocurrencies. So we're seeing a lot of adoption of blockchain technology. So it's exciting to learn blockchain because it is changing industry. So it's a great time to learn blockchain because it's so new. For example, it's the future of the internet, as we talked about with Web 3.0. And if you want to learn blockchain technology, in general, as a blockchain programmer, you'll also learn regular programming skills, and you'll learn how to make better investments if you are investing in different blockchain aspects like cryptos or NFTs, or even companies. And you have good job prospects if you do learn how to become a blockchain programmer, because as mentioned, there is that supply and for the high demand. There's low supply for high demand. So that is why we should learn blockchain and why it's an exciting space to be in. There's very few university courses at this time, so we created this masterclass specifically to address some of the needs, because there are technologies to be learned, companies that are hiring, and few developers relatively for the demand. So that's why we should learn about blockchain technology. Next up, let's talk about two blockchains, the Bitcoin and the Ethereum blockchains. These are the two most popular, the two biggest blockchains out there. So let's dive into exactly what are the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains. Well, first, let's talk about what a blockchain is in general. We've talked about why we should learn about this technology, but what is this technology actually? So there's a lot to describe about the structure of the blockchain, how it works. But the number one property that you should know when you're first learning out about the blockchain is that the number one property, the number one purpose of a blockchain is to establish trust. So we can establish trust between parties like you and me without needing a middle party or an intermediary. Instead, the blockchain itself is the intermediary. So to give you an example, suppose I am going to make a purchase from you like a house. In the traditional sense, in the traditional way, you would have to establish trust between me and you. I'd have to make sure that you own the house. I'd have to make sure that if I sent you the money for the house, that you would actually send me the ownership of the house. So traditionally, you would go to a bank and you would go to a lawyer, a notary, to get it all figured out, to establish that trust. You would bring in third parties like the bank and the notary to make sure that the transaction will be valid, to make sure it's not a scam, to make sure that you can trust the buyer and the seller. They have to trust each other somehow with that middle party involved. And perhaps there are multiple middle parties, like each party has a lawyer, each party has a mortgage specialist, each party has their bank. So you have to bring in these middle parties in the traditional sense. But the whole point of bringing in the middle parties is to establish trust somehow. But with the blockchain, we can establish trust via the blockchain itself. So we could cut away the middle parties and we can establish trust that if I send you the money for the house, you'll send me the ownership for the house over the blockchain. And this is all done with an automated process. So you write up a contract with code and you put it onto the blockchain. And then the buyer and the seller can both trust the contract because the contract is automated. It cannot be changed. It lives on the blockchain and is visible for anyone to see and anyone to check. And so with that contract, then you can send the funds to the contract. The contract will automatically send over the asset, such as the house. So you can check the contract and make sure that everything in the contract is valid. And then if you trust the smart contract, if you verify that the smart contract does as you will expect, then you can send the funds to the smart contract because the smart contract cannot be changed and it's all an automated process. There's no one controlling it. Once it gets put on the blockchain, it lives on its own and the code will do exactly what the code says, which you can see. So that is how a blockchain allows parties to establish trust. The technical definition for a blockchain is a time-stamped series of immutable transactions. So let's define this. You can visualize a blockchain as a chain of blocks. And these blocks are all code. So this is just a visual metaphor for the blockchain. But essentially, it is this chain of blocks that cannot be broken. And in each of these blocks, we hold data about whatever happened on the blockchain. So if I put a new contract on the blockchain, that gets stored in a block. If I bought something with Bitcoin, that gets stored in a block. If I interacted with a contract, like I sent it some money for a house and then I got the house back, that gets stored in a block. So everything that ever happens will get stored on the block. And you can always check, did something happen when you expected it to? Timestamped means that each transaction or each block gets the date and the time. So you can see when it happened. It also gets a unique address, so you can refer to it directly. It's a series, which means a list. So if you're familiar with programming, which some of you are in the chat, it's like a linked list, a list of items that are all linked together. And the transactions are immutable, which means they cannot be changed. So once I put up a contract, I cannot edit the contract. I can add another contract, sure, but I cannot edit that first one. And as soon as I send a transaction, I send some crypto to a contract. For example, if I want to buy a computer with Bitcoin, once I send that, I can't take it back. So everything that happens is unchangeable. And these are transactions, but this could refer to any interaction. So a transaction could be sending crypto for some kind of asset or a different crypto. It could be a financial transaction, or it could be an interaction with the contract. These are all called transactions because you have to pay a small gas fee for each of the interactions. So that is the technical definition, a time-stamped series of immutable transactions. And behind each block, there is encryption. So that is where the security part of the blockchain comes in. There's some inherent security in the blockchain, which is why it's commonly used for the financial industry. to prevent hacks and to verify transactions, because the blockchain has built-in checking to make sure that transactions are valid. So before I can actually add the transaction or the interaction to the blockchain, it gets checked to make sure, do I actually have the Bitcoin that I say I have? Do I actually own the Bitcoin? Am I trying to double spend it? Am I trying to perform a hack or perform an illegitimate transaction? It will check, does the contract that I'm trying to interact with exist? Do I have enough funds to pay for this? So the blockchain checks beforehand the transactions. And so that is part of what makes it more secure than traditional technology, is that verification process. So therefore, it prevents hacks, but there are hacks that happen. They're just a lot less frequent than with traditional technology. The blockchain, who owns it? Who manages it? Well, let's discuss this. The blockchain is actually decentralized, which means there is no central entity that owns the blockchain or runs it or is storing it. There's no owner of the blockchain. Yes, there are creators, but once they create it, it will live independently. The blockchain is actually managed by a network of computers all around the world. And if you wanted to, you could take your computer and connect it to the network, and you could be one of the computers that is upholding the blockchain. So these computers all around the world, they're running, using some of their processing power to keep the blockchain running. And it's quite a few computers, and like I mentioned, you could add your computer if you wanted to join the network. So no one owns the blockchain, no one runs it. Instead, it's run by this peer-to-peer network, which means all those computers around the world. The blockchain began in 2008 with the Bitcoin blockchain. So back in the 90s, there were actually theories about how to build something like a blockchain. But in 2008, a white paper was released that described a practical way to build out a blockchain with code. And so the Bitcoin blockchain was built, the first one. Since then, many other blockchains have been created. Bitcoin is still the most popular one, and number 2 most popular is Ethereum. So in our course, we're going to be focusing on the Ethereum blockchain. And let's discuss why. Why did we choose Ethereum for our course? Well, Ethereum was built in 2015, and the point of Ethereum was to expand upon what a blockchain could do. So before Ethereum, we could only do transactions. We could only use a blockchain for making transactions. But with Ethereum, we introduced the side to the blockchain of the contracts. So you may remember I mentioned we can put contracts onto the blockchain that are automated. So if I send some crypto to the contract and the contract says it will send me back some kind of product like a book, well, then that contract is automated and I can trust the contract to do the transaction. So instead of going to a store owner and trusting them, or using some third parties to help establish trust, like a lawyer, I can trust that the blockchain will do what I can see the code will do. And those contracts, that concept, that was only introduced in 2015 with Ethereum. So Bitcoin does have contracts, but they are much more simple. They're not as powerful. Ethereum is the number 1 most popular blockchain for those contracts. And building out these contracts is a key part of being a blockchain programmer. So that's why we're focusing on Ethereum in our course, because it's the number 1 for building these contracts. So if a company wants to incorporate blockchain technology, they use contracts to do so. So if I am an online store and I want to record all my transactions on the blockchain, and I want to automatically give products over the blockchain so that my visitors can trust that they'll get what they bought, because the blockchain is going to do it automatically for them. Well, if I want to make that all happen, I have to build a contract. I build a contract that says everything that I want to enable, such as if a user sends me 1 Ether coin, I will send them this computer. So I write it all out in the contract, and then I can now have my online store that uses blockchain technology. So if you do want to be a blockchain programmer, you have to know how to build these contracts. So that's why we're focusing on Ethereum, which is the #1 for these contracts. With Ethereum, we got these new features that expanded what Bitcoin could do. The whole point of Ethereum was to incorporate this new idea, this new ability to build contracts. So that is Bitcoin and Ethereum about their blockchain systems. Next up, we're going to talk more about these contracts that I've been talking about. These contracts are called smart contracts because they're written in code, so they're smart. And they're called Solidity smart contracts for Ethereum because they are written in the Solidity coding language. So just like I would write a book in English, I write a smart contract in Solidity. So Solidity is a coding language, and we're going to learn how to code in Solidity in our course. That way, we'll know how to write these contracts because you can't just write the contracts in English. You have to write them in Solidity. A smart contract is, as I've been mentioning, a contract that you put up, and this is a contract you write with code, and you define all the properties and the functions, the functionality of the contract, what it can do. For example, you might have a contract for a crowdfunding campaign, a lottery, a loan, a bank, some other financial instrument, or a contract for a cryptocurrency, for an NFT. You can have a contract for a school, for a store. In the contract, you state everything that you want to enable, such as if you're a bank, you want to start a bank contract, or if you want to start a new trading platform, then you create the contract and you define everything that you want. A bank might have some way to store their accounts and functions so that the bank can accept deposits, can accept withdrawals, so that people can take out loans. So in the contract, you write out everything that you want to enable. And then you can put that contract onto the blockchain, and then anyone around the world can interact with your contract. For example, they can sign up to your bank and they can make withdrawals, make deposits, take out loans. So that is why we have to do everything in contracts, because at the heart of the blockchain, everything is a contract. An NFT is a contract. A cryptocurrency is a contract. So in our course, we're going to learn all about how to build different contracts. We'll learn how to build contracts for a bank, for a store, for a cryptocurrency, for an NFT. So you'll get exposed to a range of uses for these contracts because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the night, the blockchain is used for different industries. You might get hired as a blockchain programmer at a financial company and they'll ask you to build a contract to enable trading. Or you might get hired at another company like a games company and they'll want you to build a contract to store every player interaction that happens in their game. Especially if you're a freelancer, then you'll have to build for different companies, different industries. Or you may be able to pick an industry that you want to work in, like the financial industry, and then you'll be building contracts for them. But in our course, we're going to learn how to build contracts across the board for different use cases. Because if you can build one, then you can build others. It all just depends on what your company or your client is asking you to build. And if you know Solidity and you know how to build contracts, then you can build out what is being requested because you know how to build out the properties and the functions. And as I mentioned, we're going to be using Solidity in the course. Solidity is the #1 language for building smart contracts. So it's the most popular one. There are other languages out there for building contracts. If you know one language, it's much easier to pick up another one. So that's why we're starting with the most popular language, Solidity, because if you learn Solidity, you'll be able to pick up any other ones if you do have to learn other ones. If you want to get started with Solidity, I put a link here and I'll drop it in the chat to Remix. This is an online editor, so it is a website where you can actually get started looking at some Solidity code and you can start coding it out. We're going to be using Remix in the start of our course because it's a great way for beginners to learn how to code. So if you are interested in getting started, I encourage you to visit remix.ethereum.org. Don't worry if you get confused because if you've never coded before, it's going to be confusing for you, but that's why we have this course to teach you from the start, even if you've never coded before, how to use Solidity and how to build contracts. So that was all about contracts. Next up, we're going to get into our final topic of the night, cryptocurrencies and NFTs. We briefly mentioned cryptos and NFTs at the start of the night because these two are some of the most popular ways that blockchain technology is currently being used. There's a lot of hype around cryptos and NFTs. A lot of celebrities are getting involved in these, so we have to cover them because they're so popular. First, let's talk about a cryptocurrency. A cryptocurrency is a virtual currency secured by cryptography. That's why it's called cryptocurrency. So it has inherent security in it because it uses cryptography for encryption and security of the currency. Because a cryptocurrency uses cryptography, it makes it very hard to counterfeit a cryptocurrency or to double spend it. So let's give an example. Double spending refers to trying to spend the same digital currency twice. And it's actually relatively easy. Well, not easy, but it's much easier to double spend a currency that's a regular currency, like using your credit card or the US dollar online. Trying to double spend that is much easier than double spending a cryptocurrency because regular currency does not have the cryptography aspect. So you could more easily double spend. So double spending was actually a huge problem, and cryptocurrency was the first to solve this computer science problem of double spending. Because, for example, if I want to send you an image, I could email you an image, and then I have my copy of the image, and you have your copy of the image. But you can't do the same thing with money. I can't email you a copy of my money because then I have my copy and you have your copy, so I just counterfeited the money. I double spent it. Or I counterfeited it. Double spending it would mean spending the dollar once and then trying to spend that same dollar again. So similar, you're trying to use a copy. So this is actually a huge problem with regular money, but it's much harder to do so with cryptocurrency because it has the cryptography aspect to it. Because with a cryptocurrency like a Bitcoin cryptocurrency, the blockchain is going to track that cryptocurrency. And that you don't have this with regular currency with as much cryptography and as much tracking. So with something like Bitcoin, which is one example of a virtual currency, it's being tracked. So if I own one Bitcoin or even a fraction of a Bitcoin and I send it to you, the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, which is behind the Bitcoin currency, the blockchain is going to track that exact address of my fraction of Bitcoin. It's going to track where it went. So if it went from my address to your address, the blockchain will track all of that. You don't get this with regular currencies. Therefore, it's much easier to try to spend that same Bitcoin or that same regular currency twice rather than the Bitcoin. Because if I try to spend the same Bitcoin twice, the blockchain will say, you cannot do that. Now, how does the blockchain know that? Well, as I mentioned earlier tonight, remember, every time I want to interact with the blockchain is going to check, is my interaction or my transaction valid? Or am I trying to do something fishy? Am I trying to buy something when I don't have enough crypto? Am I trying to access a contract that doesn't exist? Am I trying to double spend? So before I do my interaction, the blockchain will check, is that cryptocurrency that Alexandra is using, is she trying to double spend it? Does she actually own it? Or did she recently send it to someone else? So the blockchain will do that check, and therefore it's much harder to double spend. So that is an introduction to cryptocurrencies. We also have something known as a crypto token. So an NFT stands for non-fungible token, and it is an example of a crypto token, which is different from a cryptocurrency. A cryptocurrency may have its own blockchain, such as Bitcoin has the Bitcoin blockchain or Ether has the Ethereum blockchain. But if you build your own cryptocurrency on top of a blockchain, then that's known as a crypto token. You can still call it a cryptocurrency. It's very commonly still called a cryptocurrency. But technically it is a crypto token because you're building it on top of another blockchain because you're not building your own blockchain with it. So if you wanted to build your own cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ether, you'd have to build your own blockchain as well that is tied to the cryptocurrency. But if you want to build your own cryptocurrency on top of a blockchain, something like Dogecoin, which would live on top, then that's known as a crypto token, but commonly still called cryptocurrency. So we're going to look at in our course how to build our own cryptocurrency, but on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And some other examples of crypto tokens are DAI, Link, Comp, and CryptoKitties. So they're built on an existing blockchain, most commonly Ethereum, and they can represent assets if you have something like an NFT, or they could just be a cryptocurrency. So that is a token, and then NFT is just one type of token known as a non-fungible token. So if you have a fungible token, this would be a cryptocurrency token. So a fungible token means that each item can be interchanged for another. That's what fungible means. So if I have a dollar bill, it's fungible with every other dollar bill. It's fungible because you can swap dollar bills and nothing matters. A non-fungible token means that if I try to swap something, it actually matters. So non-fungible token is used for unique assets. For example, if I tried to swap my custom computer for another custom computer, well, even if I did the swap, I'm not swapping the exact same thing. The two computers are still different. So that is the difference between fungible, where you have something identical like the dollar bill, which can just be swapped, and something that is unique like a non-fungible token, which could be something non-fungible like a customized computer. When talking about the blockchain, an NFT refers to a token. So it is a contract, because remember, a cryptocurrency token, a non-fungible token, they're all contracts at the end of the day. And in our course, we're going to learn how to build a contract for a cryptocurrency and an NFT. An NFT contract is commonly used to represent some kind of asset. So this could represent a piece of artwork, it could represent real estate, it could represent a video game asset, it could represent ownership of a shoe, it could just be a collectible, whatever you want to represent virtually. It could be virtual land, it could be virtual clothing. So anything that you want to represent virtually, you would build a non-fungible token for that. So if you want to build a fungible token, that's commonly for coins. It could also be for votes, but most commonly it's for coins. It's something that you can swap one for the other. So if you wanted to build your own cryptocurrency, you would do the fungible token. And then if you wanted to build something that's unique, that you would have one or maybe several instances of, then that you would build an NFT for that scenario. So depending on what you need in your project, you would build the fungible versus non-fungible token. And there are other token types as well. And of course, there are other contracts that you can build. We talked about already tonight. You can build a bunch of financial contracts, something like for a bank, a contract to represent a game, to represent a school, or a contract to represent a cryptocurrency or a non-fungible token. And then with these different projects, like a cryptocurrency, you could release and try to get popularity for use of the cryptocurrency. For NFTs, very similar. You can use NFTs more about the marketing behind them. Or you can use both of these in a larger project, like combine it with a bigger smart contract, such as if you build out your own bank with your own ability to deposit, withdraw, and give loans, and etc. Then you can incorporate in that the use of cryptos and NFTs. So it depends on how complex of a project you want to build. You can use one contract, like just a cryptocurrency, or you can combine contracts, use a cryptocurrency on a trading platform contract with other helper contracts in between. So there's a lot of opportunity for the types of projects that you want to build, depending on your use case. Like, are you building it for a game, for a bank, for a client, just for yourself? Depending on what you want to do, you can build out different contracts for all those use cases. So that is an introduction to cryptocurrencies and NFTs. So tonight we talked a lot about theory. In our actual course, we get much more hands-on. Every week, we are going to be building out projects. except for the first week where it's just an introduction to the whole landscape and the ecosystem. So it's quite a hands-on course. We're building a lot of contracts together. Next up, we're going to do an overview of the curriculum. So we'll go through the course week by week. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to where you can read the curriculum and where you can purchase the course. We also have a complementary course to this one, Web3. And the Web3 decentralized app development course is a recommended course to take next or side by side with the blockchain programming course. So if you are interested in learning more about decentralized apps and Web3, then I encourage you to buy the Web3 course as well, because you can save 10%. And you can save 20% with our coupon code for the early bird special, because you are all early birds for our next semester. So let's jump into our curriculum. So here is lumiwealth.com, and we're at the blockchain programming course. Here you can read about the different plans for the course and the curriculum. So let's dive into our 3 blockchain course plans. The first plan is the self-directed plan. You get lifetime access to our video library, so you can start today. You can watch last semester, you can follow along with this semester, or you can watch next semester, because you get the video library of all time, past, present, and future. You also get all of the source code behind all of the projects. You also get access to our community and instructor support and weekly discussion hour. So this is the self-directed plan. Our next plan is the live classes plan. So you still get everything from the self-directed plan. You can still watch all the videos starting immediately from that self-directed plan, but you also get 8 weeks of live classes. We meet for 2 hours per week and we go through the curriculum live. Also, you'll get 6 hours of dedicated live Q&A, and of course, access to all future videos and code. So you're buying not just this semester, you're buying our entire video library for all semesters. We also provide help with 2 personal projects. You can get to know your other classmates, and we do help with resume and interview prep if you're interested in applying as a blockchain programmer, and unlimited email and chat Q&A. We also have our project help / tutoring plan. And note, for all of these, we're happy to provide invoices, and we do have payment plans as well. So if you are looking for employer reimbursement, we can provide invoices for that. And if you're looking for splitting up the payments, we can do that as well. So in this final option, project help / tutoring, you get everything from the previous 2 plans. So you still get all our video library and our code library and all of the live classes. You also get help with building a custom project, including software development if needed from our team. Or you can get 10 hours of one-on-one video phone sessions or software development time with our experts. So it's up to you if you need help with a custom project or you want special tutoring. So with this option, perhaps you have a project that you want to build that you have in mind. Well, we can help you with building that project. Or perhaps you just want more tutoring, more of the educational part to get you ready for perhaps the coding interview, or just to learn more about blockchain programming one-on-one. It's up to you what you would like for this 3rd option. So these are our 3 course plans that we have available. Feel free to book a call with us online. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about these plans. Next, let's dive into our course curriculum. Starting off with week 1, we're going to do an introduction to blockchain, solidity, and smart contracts. So we're introducing the whole blockchain landscape in more detail than tonight. Tonight was more of a teaser of what is to come. In week 1, we get in depth about the whole blockchain space. And we also start writing our first Solidity code. In week 2, we get hands-on learning the basics of programming with Solidity. So if you have experience with other coding languages, it will give you a leg up for Solidity. But Solidity is also unique. It has its own features. And so even if you have coding experience, Solidity is still its own language. So we cover fundamental programming topics, which can be useful for other languages as well, not just Solidity. So if you want to become a programmer in general, even in another language, you still have to learn all of these fundamental topics. In week 3, we dive into building our first smart contracts. So as I mentioned tonight, all about those contracts. Everything on the blockchain is a contract. So we're going to get started building our contracts together in week 3. Then we get to week 4. We're going to build more contracts with more programming topics like inheritance. So we are going to increase the complexity of our contracts with each week as we learn more and more. We build upon our knowledge. In week 5, we dive into Solidity contracts some more, building contracts like for a bank, and more programming topics as well, like abstraction, libraries, and more. Then in week 6, we're going to build out a cryptocurrency token and an NFT token. So we build more contracts together, this time for a crypto and for an NFT. In week 7, we learn how to send the NFT to the public blockchain and how we can check the data on OpenSea, which is the #1 NFT marketplace. So in week 7, we learn how we can actually see our NFT that is ready for trading. Then in our last week, week 8, we're going to build and deploy a smart contract with Truffle and Ganache. So we're going to learn how to use popular blockchain tools like Truffle and Ganache. These are to manage larger blockchain projects. So we're going to learn how we can use very popular blockchain tools. Then we'll talk about where you can go from here, how to get ready for the coding interview, how to build more projects in week 8. Okay, our class begins on June 9th. So we are currently in the early bird stage. So I encourage you all to use our early bird coupon. Our registration closes May 26th and the course begins June 9th. The course runs for 8 weeks, excluding holiday breaks. We will have a 2-week holiday break at the midway point. It's about 8 to 12 hours per week of self-paced learning after class. Of course, you can just watch the class and you don't have to do any effort outside of class. It all depends on what you want to get from the course. Are you looking to get an introduction or are you looking to get hired? So depending on how your outcomes, you'll have to put more effort in per week. We meet every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And each lecture is 2 hours per week live over Zoom, just like we did tonight. This is a very projects-heavy course. So by the end of the course, you'll have a large GitHub portfolio with different smart contracts for different industries and also your own crypto coin and NFT. If you do want to purchase the course, then feel free to just visit our website and you can select one of the plans, like the live classes plan. Select that course and you'll be taken to checkout. If you add another item like our Web3 course, then you can get an additional 10% off. You can also use our early bird coupon to save 20% because we are in the early bird stage. And then proceed to checkout and you will be in the course and you'll have access to our video library. And if you purchase the live classes version, then I will see you in June. So that is an overview of our blockchain programming course. If anyone has any questions, then feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them now. Otherwise, we have covered all of our topics. I hope to see you in our Discord community. Feel free to message us over there. And I also hope to see you in June when we begin our next semester of live classes. All right, I also see a message from Frank. You can learn some of this for free on websites like BuildSpace, Coursera. Yes, it's true. You can find some of these topics online and research on your own. For beginners, I found that the best way to get this curriculum is with a streamlined curriculum. So that's the whole point of our course, is to have everything planned out for you so you know that you are learning exactly what you need to learn in the most efficient manner possible. And we take you through many projects together. And we also have the benefit of the live classes for motivation and instructor support, helping with personal projects, helping with resume and interview prep, meeting other classmates, working together, unlimited instructor support. So those are some of the benefits of joining us. All right, if anyone has anything else, any other messages, feel free to drop them. Christopher has a message. Is there a plan to add Polygon or other platforms? See, currently we don't have that plan to add Polygon or other platforms, but we'll make a note of your request for sure. Raj Kumar says, if someone uses 5-month payment plan, then they would end up paying more or the same. You end up paying the same, it's just split into smaller payments per month. Great questions, everyone. I can drop in the chat some important links, like the link to the course again, and the coupon code to enter if you do want the early bird special. As well, I will drop our YouTube channel where you can find some free tutorials. We put our webinars on YouTube, as well as our Discord. I will drop that in the chat. I'll drop a link to Remix. Christopher says, Ethereum is surrounded by so much scandal with the SEC. It's true, there is some abuse of the technology at times, which occurs with many technologies. I'll also drop a link to our Web3 course, which is meant to be the partner course or the secondary course to do after blockchain programming. You can also do it side by side if you have coding experience. Here in Web3, we cover Web3 and dApp development. So I encourage you to check out our Web3 course as well, where we do an introduction to JavaScript and web development. And we also learn decentralized dApp development. So this will be the front end side of blockchain. So tonight we talked all about the back end side, the smart contracts. That's all the blockchain side and the back end. Then very commonly, you also build out the front end for your project. This will be more for you if you want to become an entrepreneur building your own projects, or if you want to focus on the front end part of a project at a company, get hired as a front end developer at a decentralized app company or blockchain company. Then I encourage you to look into our Web3 course, which is all about the front end side, building out websites and apps that use smart contracts. So as we mentioned today, that websites are starting to use blockchain technology. Well, in our blockchain programming course, you learn all about the contract side. And then in our Web3 course, you learn all about the front end side, how to build out that website that uses the contracts. So we cover topics like decentralized web app setup, project development with popular tools like Ganache and MetaMask, web development with React, and then incorporating Web3 in React to build out an NFT minting dApp, building out more dApps for different use cases with popular blockchain tools like Truffle, and then popular web development tools like React. We also cover Metaplex Candy due to popular demand in week 10, which is all about NFT deployment to another blockchain known as the Solana blockchain. So I do encourage you to check out the Web3 course, which is the partner course to the blockchain programming course. Clifton says, I'm currently looking for a source of passive income, 10 to 15K annually. I'm looking to take this course to accomplish this. Can you tell me the chances of accomplishing this with this course? Let's see, with this blockchain course, you can build out smart contracts for generating passive income. So these would be ideas of things like yield farming or a lending platform or a trading platform where you take a commission. That would be the number one way of generating passive income with contracts. These are financial contracts that you put on the blockchain. And then once you get users, then the users will generate the income for you if you have that, either the money from advertising or if you're taking a commission on each transaction. So that would be the number one way of accomplishing the passive income stream with this course, is building out a contract specifically with passive income as your priority. So this would be likely a financial contract. Great question. All right, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. All right, if no one has any more questions, that is fine. LK says, I'm late to attend this webinar. Oh, we will put the webinar on our YouTube channel as well. So if you did come late, you can watch the rest on YouTube. I'll drop a link to our YouTube channel in the chat. If anyone does have questions throughout the week or even later, feel free to, again, book a call with us. I can drop a link to booking a call in our chat here. So I'm going to copy this link if anyone is interested in that. You can also email alicia@lumiwealth.com with any technical questions you might have, about payment plans, about any of these options, any questions you might have about what is in the course. Feel free to email us. We'll be happy to get back to you. Christopher says, how much again is the Web3 and blockchain class together? So if you do purchase 2 courses, you get 10% off automatically. So I'm going to go into my cart. Yes, LK, feel free to direct message me your email and I can send you the recording for sure. So here we have our live classes for blockchain, and we can add on our Web3 course as well. So I'll add that to the cart. All right, and by default, we have our 10% discount. We also have our discount for our early bird special. So don't forget to apply that one. Right, there you go. And so you get 10% off automatically, regardless of when you buy any 2 courses. Great question. So yes, if anyone has any questions throughout the week, as I was saying, feel free to email us, book a call, or message us on Discord. We're happy to answer any questions that you direct message us on Discord or that you put in a group chat on Discord. We check Discord quite often, and there's a lot of students that we talk to, and it's a very active Discord community. So feel free to message us on any of our platforms. Yes, I'd be happy to share this PowerPoint as well. Let's see, I'm going to share a link to the PowerPoint here in our chat. Feel free to download the PowerPoint or just go through it. Great questions, everyone. Happy to provide you anything you might need tonight or on email throughout the week. And I hope to see you all in June when we'll get started. Of course, if you have our entire video library, you can get started today, so you can access all of our semesters of videos and code in any of our plans. With every plan, you get all of our videos from last semester and from every semester going forward. But I do hope to see you in June for the most exciting plan, the live classes, or even project help or special tutoring if you do want more of that one-on-one time. Yes, we do have installment plans. LK, we have 3 and 5 month payment plans. So yes, you can pay monthly. Great question. All right, if anyone has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, we have covered all of the topics that we'll have to cover tonight. Next week on May 2nd, same time, next Monday, we actually are going to do another webinar, Web3. So if you are interested in the Web3 course, Web3 development using React.js, next Monday, May 2nd, I'm going to be doing a webinar introducing Web3 and introducing dApps, JavaScript, React. So very similar to blockchain, but the front end side to a dApp rather than the back end. So I encourage you to all join me next week for Web3. Kimberly is asking how many months? So we have 3 and also 5-month payment plans. So you can pay over 3 months or over 5 months. If you're asking about, okay, great, that is. If you are asking about the length of the course length is 8 weeks with a 2-week break in between. So total of 2 months for the actual course. And again, we do provide invoices if you are looking for employer reimbursement as professional development. We're happy to provide that for you as well. Thank you, Em. I'm glad you had a great time. And remember, it's just a teaser of what is to come in our huge hands-on blockchain course. And I hope to see you next week at our webinar for Web3, where we talk all about how to build the front end side. The companion to this back end blockchain side is the front end side, building out a website that can actually talk to contracts. So we'll discuss next week all about how you would talk to a smart contract from a website, because that's the #1 way to get your project out there, is if you can build out that front end side to it, where it's very easy. Anyone can go to a website. It's much easier to access a website than accessing the contract directly on the blockchain. So I do encourage those of you interested in building out, your own projects, your entrepreneurship projects, having that front end side to your blockchain project, that Web3 side, is going to be a great way to get users, because you're building out a website as the window to the smart contract. So you're going to find it a lot easier to get users if you provide that website interface for them to talk to your smart contract over the website. All right, Clifton suggests we should collab with a club in Whiteboard Crypto Club. We'll definitely look that up. Learning 90% of what we described besides Solidity. Awesome. So we will definitely check that out. Very fascinating whiteboard. If anyone has any requests or special requests for the blockchain course or the Web3 course, feel free to let us know now or email us anytime. We do listen to student requests. That's why we added Metaplex NFT minting to our Web3 course. So we do listen to our student demand. Feel free to let us know what you want in our courses, and we will take note. I know we got several messages tonight already about some recommendations, so we will definitely take note of student requests. All right. Looks like everyone has asked all their questions for now. I look forward to seeing you on Discord or next week or in June. So thank you, everyone, and I will see you next time.